My name is Helga Portelli. I am the head of the finance unit, and I would like to welcome you to this webinar. We have already held a webinar way back in December, and after having received very good feedback about the webinar and due to some changes that will be launched soon in the eMS, we thought that it would be best to have another webinar.
My name is Claudia Pamperl. I'm a project manager in the JS, but also mainly responsible for the eMS IT system.
We have already received 2 questions, and maybe I give the floor to Claudia to let us know a bit, to give a summary of what are the differences between the version that you are currently working with now and the version that will be launched in the next few weeks.
Yeah, so in the new version of eMS, we have some changes, not major changes, and one of the changes is related to the control checklist, because there were quite a lot of issues with filling it in, and the double confirmation by the controller and then the supervisor. So it was a source of mistakes, and it was decided that we will skip this double confirmation of the questions, and so we have a simple confirmation of the answers in the checklist, and it was explained in the e-tutorial that we held earlier. There will be also introduced a typology of errors that you will have to fill in when you check the expenditure items in the list of expenditure, and you will have, instead of 1 comment field, you will have 3 comment fields. 1 comment field dedicated to the controller himself, only visible for the controller, and 1 comment field that is visible to the project partner and the program bodies, and then a 3rd comment field that is visible for the program bodies. These are the main changes. What is also new is that in the overview table, and maybe I show you, we go to this screen. I have to share the screen. So here in the overview table of the reports, you have now a column where you see the date of the latest submission of the partner report, and you have the column where you see the date of the first submission of the partner report to the controller. This is the date of the first submission is important because it's the date where the conversion rate from a different currency to a euro is fixed. So I hand over to Helga.
Yeah, these were the main changes.
Yes.
And maybe we could say when more or less we will be going on the
live
system.
Today, and we will work on the test environment. So whenever I show you something, we are already working with the latest version that we have of eMS. We are at the moment testing it, and within the next 2 weeks, we will install the new version also on the productive system.
There was another question also related, not really to the differences, but to the anomalies that we have so far seen in the use of the eMS by the controllers. And I would say that one of the main errors or mistakes made by controllers is that the control checklist, when filled in, is not filled in properly. So some text box, some check boxes are not filled in, and when finalizing the work, the way it is saved, so before it's not clicked finalize control work, and so although the controller sees the work done, if it's the PDF created, right? The PDF is created, then we do not get all the answers in the control checklist. So it's important to always click on finalize control work before once the control work is ready.
Yeah, this was also for the control report. There was, when the control report is printed before you have finalized the control work, then the data in the control report is slightly different than after finalizing the control work. So the financial table will change and the date of end of control work will miss. And so in the first reporting period, these were the main issues that we had.
At the moment, there are no questions, so please feel free. Any questions you have, type the question and we are here to answer all the questions that you might have, related mainly to eMS, but also any other questions that the controllers might have to us. Is there something we can show?
Yes, the eMS fact sheet that was provided for the e-tutorial last time, we will update with the information for the list of expenditure with the 3 fields that can be common fields that are now available for the controllers, and also with the information on the typology of errors. This was still not decided when we had the e-tutorial last time.
There is actually a question from the Hungarian controllers related to these corrections, the type of corrections. Even though there will be a drop-down menu where you select the type of the correction, for example, it would be, I don't know, public procurement, one of the typology of errors. Even though you select there, and even though you deduct the amounts in the list of expenditure, in the control checklist, there should still be information about the amount deducted and the reason why.
If there is no question at the moment, maybe we can go to this section where you deduct. Okay. There is something went wrong. So we try again. Here we go. So when you go to the control documents, we use it in the exit to partner report. So it's in the list of expenditure. You open the item, and here in this section dedicated to the controller, you will have this drop-down menu with the correction type. It's not programmed yet because it was just recently decided how this type of correction should look like. So here you will be able to select the type of correction, and also here, instead of 1 comment field, you will have 3 boxes, and it will be marked which comment text box is visible to whom.
Since there seem to be no questions, maybe Claudia, if we could show a bit how to include sitting ducks.
Yes, that could be a good option.
Given that now we are in the second progress reports, you will soon start receiving and some of you have already started receiving the partner reports for the period 2 of Call 1 projects. Some costs that you have left as what we say sitting ducks, because there were some issues which were not yet clarified. So we will show you how these costs are then to be included in the second progress report if the clarifications have been received.
So we go, I show it from the very beginning. So here for the partner 2, we have a report which is not certified yet. So we go into the report, and here in the list of expenditure, you will have all the items that were included in the partner report of period 2. So you can see it from here, from the report number. So it's the second partner. This is the abbreviation for the second partner, and it was included in the second period, the first report of the second period. So here all they have 2.1 showing that it's of the second reporting period. If you want to see the sitting ducks, you go to the control documents, and here in the section certificate of expenditure, open report expenditure, you activate this checkbox, and you will see here other reports open expenditure. So it's structured by budget line. So here we have budget line 1, we have nothing, budget line 2, 3, 4, nothing. But here now in budget line 5, we see that there is still an open expenditure that was not certified, a sitting duck. So in order to see it, we click on the magnifying glass, and you come to a list of expenditure, which now has the item of the second reporting period and the item of the first reporting period. And the sitting ducks are marked in pink. And then you do the control work. So you open the item and you enter a correction if needed. You put a comment, and you select then also the correct type of correction. And in order to confirm it, you take verified by controller and you save. If you then go back to the overview table, you will now see in the certificate of expenditure, open expenditure of the second partner, that this item was now certified by the controller, and we have 1,000 euros deducted. This is how you include sitting ducks.
We have some questions coming in. One of the questions is from Ms. Francesca Volpato, where the question is, will the checklist be the same number of questions? Yes, the control checklist will not change. So this is not one of the changes that has been introduced. The control checklist will not change and will remain the same. Some questions from the Hungarian controllers. The first question is, at partner report, at work packages eMS, or the beneficiaries will fill in the amount of expenditure, current report, and expenditure reported so far. I'm not sure whether I understand the question, Andrea. In the partner report, in the financial tables related to how the expenditure in the current report and expenditure reported so far, this is automatically calculated by the eMS. There is nothing that is to be filled in by the beneficiaries.
Yeah, this is automatically created.
But then the next one, Andrea is saying that if it is the eMS, then it seems that there has been experience that the eMS did not bring the correct numbers from the previous report. Is it possible?
This we will have.
Andrea, the best thing is to give us an example, and we will look at it if this is if there is an issue and we would have to solve this issue, or if maybe there is some misinterpretation or something like this.
Yeah. We will then also see how it looks in the new version. because there were some bugs in the financial tables, especially when a certificate was reverted and those and not included in the partner report, in the joint progress report anymore. So there were corrections for the financial tables, and we will have a look how it looks like now.
There is also another question, also by Andrea, saying that if since the new version will be available in the next weeks, if you should still issue control documents now and do the certification. Please continue doing the certification using the system that there is in place, and then once the new system is put live, then you make use of that system. For the moment, still continue doing your work, issuing certificates without any problems. Another question, if we could give typical examples for sitting ducts. I mean, sitting ducts could be any kind of expenditure that remains a sitting duct. If during your control work you find out that there is something that even after having asked for, there is a missing document, you ask during your verifications, you ask the beneficiary to provide you with this missing document, but still this missing document is not provided. And you wait a bit longer, and then it's time to validate the costs, but this missing document has not been provided. You can leave the cost as a sitting duct. Or another example would be you are verifying public procurements, and you see that there are some things which are you're not so sure about them, and you need to verify further, and you think it would take quite long. And therefore, in order not to stop with the validation of the costs, you can leave that specific cost as a sitting duct and approve it and validate it in the next progress report if all the questions and the missing documents are clarified.
Maybe we show it.
I mean, anything could be left as sitting duct. What is important maybe to keep in mind is that you should not leave costs as sitting ducts if the budget line or the work package indicated by the partner are not the correct ones. In that case, you should revert back that specific item to the partners and not leave them as sitting ducts, because once they are sitting ducts, you cannot no longer revert them back to the partner, and you cannot change the budget line or the work package.
So I go back to the partner report.
There is also a question about the sitting ducts, whether there is an expiry date. There is no expiry date. I mean, they can be left there until the end of the project. But of course, we urge you that whatever is left as sitting duct is only left as sitting ducts for a short period and not till the end. But there is no expiry date for the sitting ducts. But you should try to clarify the issues within the next progress report. But if you cannot, because of some circumstances, then you can leave them as sitting ducts further.
Yeah, so we are now here back in the partner report of the partner 2, of period 2, and the orange marked items are already verified by the controller, so they are marked as verified by the controller, and we have 3 items that are still not included, verified, and therefore not included in the certificate. So if, for example, for budget line 4, external expertise and services, you need some further documentation, you can already put a comment. You can have, what you should do in that reporting period, you just verify whether the budget line is correct and whether the work package is correct, because this should be corrected in the period when the item was submitted, because later on you would not be able to change it anymore. So this has to be, even if it's a sitting duck, this has to be put to the correct information while you are verifying the expenditure. And then you can save it, but you do not mark it as verified. And when you then issue the certificate, this item will not be included in the certificate, and it remains available for the next partner report, and can be included as a sitting duck.
There are some questions.
Yes.
So if you're done with this, maybe
I'm done with this.
There is a question from Ms. Sarti about the deadline for the project partner to submit the partner report to the controllers. We do not set a deadline for the partners when they should submit this to the controllers. However, we always, even last week, we had the program implementation training. We always tell the partners to ensure to collect all the documents and send the documents to the controllers immediately, as soon as they can, after the end of the reporting period. So let's say if it is a January-June reporting period, since then they have 2 months for the lead partner to submit the joint progress report to the joint secretariat. We say that they should provide the documents to the controller at the latest around 2 weeks later. But of course, this could be from country to country, from member state to member state different. It could be that at member state level, there is a procedure by when, I don't know, 10 days or 2 weeks, the partner has to submit to the controller. However, it's always good that the beneficiary and the controllers agree on the reasonable time to submit a partner report. There is a question about if it is okay to have a shift of costs within the periods compared to the budget. Yes, it is possible that if in period 1, in the application form, it was foreseen that 200,000 would be, let's take it at partner level. If the partner had foreseen that 20,000 would be spent in the first reporting period, but in reality only 15 are spent, it's okay to that money is not lost and they can spend it in the next periods. However, it has to be kept in mind that in the midterm, there will be a midterm review after the first more or less 3 progress reports, and we will go into the reasons why there is, if there is an underspending, we will check why this has happened. We ask for reasons why, and then it would be a decision on whether to decommit funds or not from the project. Yes, of course, the deadline for the controllers, let's put it this way, we say that there are 2 months from end of report until submission period. As you all know, according to the regulation, the controllers have 3 months from when they receive the costs to be validated. We urge the controllers to try and validate those costs within 2 months, so that these can be included in the progress report. In addition, maybe something that is important to clarify, if, let's say, I take January-June reporting period, and the report is due to the progress report is due to the Joint Secretariat on the 31st of August, the Joint Secretariat will have a look on the monitors the progress report, and in most cases, it has never happened that we have not, we ask clarifications to the lead partner. The lead partner then has time in that first clarification round. You have enough time to include new certificates that become available. So if the controller does not manage to validate the costs within the first submission to us, it is possible for the lead partner, if the costs in the meantime have been validated, to include those costs in the joint progress report in the first clarification round. Mm-hmm. If not included in the first clarification round, then the partner would have to wait until the following progress report.
A new question has come in.
Yes, Ms. Zardi is saying that they have received reports, so the partner reports 1 month after the end of the reporting period. As I said before, it is important that you discuss this with your beneficiaries and also set timelines by when they should provide you with the partner reports. There are no questions at the moment.
Yeah. Anything else we can show? What you can think of? Yeah, if there is no question, maybe I show the partner report and explain what issues we had when the control report was issued. Okay. So we go to the control documents and the control report. So we faced quite often the issue that the control report was filled in, and also the with all the information necessary. And then here you have end of control work, and the date of end of control work is missing. The reason why the date is missing is because in the section certificate of expenditure, the check control work and afterwards the finalization of the control work and issuing of the certificate was not done. So as soon as you do check control work, issue the certificate, here in the control report, you will have the end date of control work. So this is where we see when the control report was printed, and it has an impact on this table, because at the moment, until the control work is not finalized, here you will see also the sitting ducks that are available. Once you have issued the certificate, only the section A will only show the included declared amounts, and based on these included declared amounts, the amount that was certified and the deduction the controller made. This will be the difference.
There is a question.
There
is a question by Mr. Luca Soranzo. And the question is, could the sample checks be foreseen? With regards to sample checks, we have to keep in mind that each member state has submitted what we call the Article 23 questionnaire to us and to the audit authority for the designation process. So we have to see at each country level, at the member state level, whether sample checks have been foreseen. So I cannot say yes, sample checks can be done, or no, sample checks cannot be done. This is, it has to be checked at member state level if sample checks are foreseen. And in that case, if sample checks are foreseen, there must have always been a methodology of how the sample is taken.
We have another question.
Where do I find the template for additional procurement documentation in Word? Section 5 of control checklist on the Interreg CE homepage. you will not find the template in Word for the section 5 on the web page, because this is in reality at the moment only used because in the eMS the function add procurement function is not available. However, you can send me an email and I will provide you with this Word document myself. I have sent this document to the control bodies, and I have asked the control bodies to provide it to all the controllers and for the controllers to make use of this. There is a question saying, when is the start of control work? The date of receiving of documents or the date of starting the audits? In reality, but we don't have the start date of the... We do not have a start date, but we will just double check. Because what Claudia has shown you now was the end. Okay, here, start of control work.
This is something you fill in manually. So what you have here, the dates that you have here is here on the top is when the latest version of the partner report was provided by the project partner. You see here the date of the receipt of the partner report first submission, which is then the relevant date for the conversion rate. And here the start of control work, it's you.
It's actually when you start doing the work. It's not when you receive the report, because otherwise it will always be the same as the one above, the date of the receipt of the partner report. So the start of control work is when you start doing your checks.
More question came in.
Yes, but it's more than a question. The first one is from Mr. Sperlinga. Sorry if I pronounce it wrongly. We are the auditor of Novara Multimodal. Some questions. We have to change our details. The phone number is wrong.
This is in this case, you provide the national control assigning body with your new contact details, and they update the information in the eMS system, and then it will be automatically the new contact details.
Another question is, on next reporting, the control checklist should change in some answer than previous reporting. Do you mind about that? It depends what is changing, because every control checklist relates to the expenditure that is included in that partner report. So if, for example, there is some kind of, in the meantime, there was some change, let's say, I don't know, I get an example of VAT. Until a period, the VAT was not eligible because the partner could recover the VAT, but for some circumstances, changes in the law or something like this, the partner can no longer recover the VAT, then I would, of course, this has to be reflected in the control checklist, and it's okay that the answers are different. However, if you would have checked the procurement and in the control checklist in the first reporting period you say that everything is fine and all the procurement was done in accordance with the rules, and then in the next reporting period for the same procurement the procurement was not done in the correct way, then this, of course, we need to see why, and it would mean that probably there is an ineligible amount in a previous report which we would have to deduct and do corrections. And question by the Hungarian controller, by Andrea. At control documents, the controller's job title and department is empty. Should we fill in each time? I mean, also, especially in your case in Hungary, that it's always it is a centralized system, so it's always the same control department doing these controls. I don't think that you need to always enter this each time. And the next question from Andrea is if yes, but I said it is not necessary. So this, I think, because it says if yes, is it possible that these data are uploaded directly in the eMS and not the controllers need to fill them during the verification each time? But I think this data actually comes from the assignment, no? From the assigning.
Yeah, in the assignment, but it's not the job title. It's not there in the assignment. So
there's no need to fill it in every time.
Yeah. So all the data we have in the section is reflected.
You are welcome, Andrea, because Andrea has just thanked us for this.
So we wait for more questions. Were there any issues regarding the comment box filled in by the partner? Was this sufficient?
So far, we never had any issues with this.
So please feel free to send us your questions. It's your floor.
Take this opportunity to ask any kind of questions, even if, I mean, I know that this webinar is mainly about eMS and the use of the eMS by the controllers, but just in case you have any other questions related maybe to eligibility or things like this, please feel free to ask these questions.
We wait for another moment, otherwise we will close the webinar. I mean, as a feedback, because I'm doing a lot of user support and help desk work. At the beginning, when the controllers started working with eMS, there were quite some questions on functionalities, but by now, and we started now the reporting period 2 of the first call projects, it's rather smoothly running, and it's also the need of reopening certificates because something was not properly filled in. It's much less than we had in the past. So I think there's a new question coming in.
Okay, a question about staff costs. So if you do not have the latest documented annual gross employment costs, should you consider this situation like a sitting duck? I mean, in reality, if there is no, if the annual gross employment cost, the documentation is not available, then the beneficiary cannot really calculate the hourly rate. So in reality, the list of expenditure can be filled in only once the hourly rate is available. So unless you have the latest documented annual gross employment costs available and you can carry out the calculation and come to the hourly rate, then the beneficiary cannot really include in the list of expenditure the amount. However, if the partner somehow includes an amount, you cannot validate it because you do not have the documentation, the audit trail that is required for the calculation. So in that case, if it is included, either it is reverted back to the beneficiary because it cannot be validated, or you can leave it as a sitting duck until the latest documented annual gross employment is available. But I would rather say do not leave it as a sitting duck, but reject it.
Yes,
because just in case, you know, the basis of the calculation is not there. So
are there any more questions?
no more questions.
No more question. Maybe one comment from my side. So when you do the control work, the control work should start in the partner report, the verification of the list of expenditure, so that you go item by item. And once you are done with the list of expenditure, then you go to the section with the control documents, and there you start with the partner information update, then the checklist, the control report, and as a last step, you issue the certificate. And once this certificate is issued, only then you go and print all the control documents.
There is another question. I'm not sure if I understand it correctly. It says, I have a question with regard to the classification of in-house subcontracting. Costs that are subcontracted in-house should be included under the relevant budget line. So it's not only under budget line 4, that is external expertise and services costs, but they should be included under the budget line that is relates to the actual cost. So it would be under staff costs, and then also automatically, if there is staff costs, automatically also budget line 2 is calculated, the administration costs, and it could be under travel, budget line 3, travel and accommodation. So costs of an in-house company should be included according to the budget line. So yes, the question actually continues. Can I classify these costs as personnel costs? But sorry, it comes before. I read the other question. The in-house subcontractor charges hourly rates of a person not employed by a classic employment contract. Can I classify these costs as personnel costs? I think to answer this question, I would need more information about this. Friday means fixed hourly rates. Contractor decides himself when and where he works. It is not, I mean, the situation here for me about the in-house subcontractor is not completely clear. So I think I would need more information, and I would also ask you to verify certain things with the control body, the national control body in Austria. But what has to be kept in mind that with regards to in-house subcontracting, there should not be any profit margin. So it has to be on a real cost basis. So there is another question. As in Austria, we also have to validate the original hard copy invoices. Does our FLC deadline then start with the submission in the eMS or the receipt of the originals? I mean, I would say that the 3 months for the actual control work start from when the partner report is submitted to the controller. And then the checking of the Originals could come also a bit later.
We have another question coming in.
But I think it's not a full question yet, because it just says if one staff is a new employee with job contracts dated. So Mr. Soranzo, I think, is still formulating the question.
So, Mr. Soranzo, are you, so this question can be skipped, or are you reformulating the question? This is we are not fully clear. So we are waiting for some update of the question or new questions coming in.
New questions coming in. So regarding in-house, if the contract consists of staff costs, the in-house company cannot issue an invoice regarding the staff costs because the invoice includes extra VAT. Is it possible that only the same documents are submitted to us as the case the beneficiary? Andrea, I'm sorry, but for me, it is not clear. So let's start with in-house subcontracting. I mean, as I said before, for the in-house subcontracting, everything has to be checked, and the audit trail is the same as that of the beneficiary. Exactly. So related to your second part where you said, sorry, I lost it. Is it possible that only the same documents are submitted to us as the case the beneficiary? So same documents as the beneficiary by the in-house subcontractor. Yes, those are the documents that have to be submitted by the in-house subcontractor. The separate accounting system, there is a question, should we ask any proof of separate accounting system from the in-house company as well? No, there is no need to ask for this, because it's actually, I mean, for us, it's the partner institution that is important to have a separate accounting system. So, Mr. Sperlinga is saying, in Italy, we have the same matter of Austria. The contract has been signed specifically for the project. We consider as employee and not as subcontracting. Yes. I mean, we do have, maybe I get it in the implementation manual. As you know, in this programming period, we have, just if you give me a second. So in the implementation manual, if you refer to section C21, the part on budget line staff costs, there is this stated, with regard specifically to staff costs referring to a natural person working for the beneficiary under a contract other than an employment work contract, they are to be regarded as eligible if all the following conditions are respected. So this means that even if it is not an employment contract, the costs can be regarded as staff costs if 3 conditions are respected. The first one is that the person works under the beneficiary's institution and, unless otherwise agreed with the beneficiary, on the beneficiary's premises. The result of the work carried out belongs to the beneficiary, and the costs are not significantly different from those of personnel performing similar tasks under an employment contract with the beneficiary. So if these 3 conditions are fulfilled, then those kind of contracts are not to be regarded as external experts, but should be regarded under staff costs.
Another question.
Another question. It seems for me that some project partners would like to change the project assignment quite often. Example, once per project period due to change involvement of the project. Is this acceptable? I mean, whenever there are changes, these have to be anyway reflected in the assignment. So, I mean, it is acceptable that there are changes. Also, we also know that sometimes, you know, a person, staff member can start working, you know, in the beginning they work only for, let's say, if we talk about percentages, 10%, and then as the project really starts being implemented, they work more on the project and have more tasks related to the project than in the beginning. So this is acceptable, of course.
It also depends on the involvement in the work packages. So sometimes a certain partner has just a few tasks in a work package, exactly, and more tasks than in another work package or in another period. So this might differ depending on the period, yeah, and the progress of the project. Are there any more questions that you want us to answer? Otherwise, you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel for updates and follow us there.
So this is a recommendation from our end to subscribe to our YouTube channel. So if there are no further questions, then we would like to thank you for having connected with us. And we hope that you have found this webinar useful. However, in case of any questions that you might have related both to eMS or to any eligibility issues, please feel free to contact us at any time. We are here to support you.